Welcome to Exploring the Mystical Side of Life with your host, Linda Lang.
Hi, this is Linda Lang from ThoughtChange.com. We are exploring the mystical side of life. Once again this week, if you enjoy our conversations, remember to subscribe, share with a friend. Today, I have Renee, Blodgett, and Anthony Compagnone. They've written a beautiful, beautiful book about the life of Mary Magdalene.
Hello, how are you? How's it going?
We are so happy to be here.
Yes, we
Thanks
are.
for having us on your show, Linda.
Well, I'm so excited to have you here. Such an intimate connection you have with the energies that you pull through. Most of the channelers that I listen to, it seems almost otherworldly.
I think it's like that for us.
For a few reasons. One, because they were human once.
They were all human, and they understand what it is to be human and to be in contact with other human beings. And they will manifest themselves that way.
Because not everyone channels, beings who are so-called human, right? And so that's one piece of it, I think.
And I think because Renee and I are so grounded in what it is that we do as my own profession I've been doing for 30 years, working with small children with special needs, there's this, I'm very fortunate I have to be able to have a very open heart with these little kids. And that comes through as well with Yeshua and Miriam and Renee with her work with women and in our own communities, this open heart feeling that we have for all of humanity.
Well, and playfulness.
Playfulness as well.
I think this can be underestimated, on this journey now for 12, 13 years. Playfulness is new for us. I would say in the last 2 years. It hasn't always been playful like this, but sometimes I would argue with the guides or we'd be playful. I'd say, leave, we're going on a cruise. You can't come through for the entire week. Go away. And so there's this playfulness that we have now where we're like, we need to be humans, skedaddle. And so if you're not playful, I think things can become a little too serious.
Yeah,
that's one of the big lessons we've learned in the last couple of years. Be lighter about your journey, be more playful, be more like children, be more like children. And maybe that's what you're feeling through the channeling, and I think that's important because this too, Linda, on a path, if you feel like you have to give something up, it's like going on a diet. You're not going to do it. And so if you go on a spiritual path and you have to give up meat or you have to do yoga or you have to meditate in a certain way, you're just going to be like, this is too hard for me. I'm not going to do this. But if your meditation could be being out on a paddleboard, connecting to the birds and the egrets and
forest bathing,
do some forest bathing, do some qigong in your backyard, then suddenly it doesn't feel so hard. You can definitely connect to spirit and nature.
Oh, yes.
I could really sense a love of the human experience coming through, despite all of the foibles we have down here, right?
Yeah.
There's one thing that I can say, that when the beings come through, they have a genuine love of humanity, especially Yeshua and Miriam. They love humanity. And they love being in this particular vibration,
that we call Earth,
that we take for granted. All of the little things, like they're saying, touch and smell and all of these things that we seem to take for granted. They just,
it's interesting. And so when Anthony channels Yeshua in a public setting, I'm not going to say it's boring, but it's literally everything just quiets and goes into silent mode, and very little is said for maybe the first 10 minutes or so. He literally wants to go around and just touch everyone's hands, this sense of physical touch again,
and connect,
gaze into their eyes and just touch and say, it's really just so good to see you again, soul. And there's this beauty in it, but it's not for everybody. For some people who need, more of a motivational speaker.
Yeshua is not that. I think Miriam's more motivational speaker.
Yeshua just wants to hug people and hold people and connect to people.
Acknowledge them.
Acknowledge them. Yeah. Yeah.
It's very interesting because one of the messages that came through when you channeled about choice, right? And just as you spoke, and it's something my guides have said to me all the time too, all realities are valid and you get to choose which one you want to participate with. And we do at this current time frame seem to have a love of drama.
Yeah.
It's just like a disheveled energy, right? Like tornado energy.
Oh, that's a good way. I like that. Tornado. It's like a theatrical production gone amok.
Yes, and those are the videos we click on YouTube. Those are the movies we watch. Those are the news reports that capture people's attention. It's not what we want, but it's almost like an addiction to what we don't want.
Addiction to the drama. Well, part of it is that it's there. And, I hate to say this because this will sound like I don't have faith in humanity, but that's not the case. But, we're giving into it. We do not need to give into it. We have the power to not click. Because I spent 30 years in the media industry, and guess what? Clicks mean advertisers. Clicks mean that Google gets richer and Facebook gets richer and Amazon most definitely gets richer. And it's ironic because I've not only met those three founders, I know them. I worked in the tech industry for years and years, and it wasn't always that way. The tech startup world wasn't always that way. And it's just becoming a perpetual cycle of like bring them in to further and deepen our wallets. And so I think it's up to us to say, wow, this is all we're given. But you know what? There's independent media sources out there. We know that. It's just, it takes a little more effort to go to politico.co than the New York Times. It takes more effort to go to some of these independent media sources. But I think that's really what it's up to us to do that now, is to say, you know what, we decide what theater we want to create in our lives. And if we continue to plug into, I call it mass consciousness drama, then guess what happens? We become robots. We literally turn into robots, clicking on our screen, clicking, and giving more money to the billionaires. And so just don't choose that. There's plenty of more obscure resources that you can tap into that focus on love and unity. There's plenty. We just need to be more creative on how to find it.
I think the awareness of how it makes us feel, just tuning in. And is it bringing you peace? Is it bringing you joy? Is it bringing you light? Or is it winding you up and creating stress? I mean, just simply that awareness could help us choose better.
That awareness, right? How are you sleeping at night? It is, like you said, Linda, it's an addiction. And it's hard to unplug. We go through it too. It's challenging, but I think it's an important lesson that we need to learn.
Remember to check out our previous episode with Renee and Anthony as we take a deeper dive into Mary Magdalene's life. And thank you for listening to this week's edition of Exploring the Mystical Side of Life. You will find all of our conversations on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Come visit me at thoughtchange.com. Pick up your copy of Learning to Listen, and we will see you again next time.